Welcome back to another special Heaven and Hell at 43 story. Now today's story is from my friend Amanda. I've known Amanda for a number of years now. She is a member of the Itchy Soul Playground and she's just brilliant. Her story today inspired me so much. Yeah, I'm not going to tell it. Sorry, I was about to go, this is the thing that inspired me, but I shan't. I'll let her tell it. Except to say, if you're somebody who is doing cool stuff with God and you find yourself getting a little bit lost in the weeds sometimes, you really need to make sure you follow along with this episode. With that said, let me hand straight over to Amanda.
So, hi there. My name's Amanda and I'm the creator of the Just Boldly Go project. And my story actually involves that project, the Just Boldly Go project. So, let's see, it was about 6 years ago. I was sitting in church. I go to church even though, honestly, I'm kind of anti-religion. I love God, I love Jesus, but I don't love the whole idea of religion. That's a whole nother story. But I do go to church regularly. We started going for the kids, want them to know Jesus. So we go to church. Anyway, I was sitting in church and got a very clear message from God that I needed to start moving into a leadership role and helping other women start their own businesses, find ways to, live this life that He created for them to be living. Because I fully and firmly believe that God created each of us to do something very specific, and that if we don't do it, we are not fulfilling our life purpose. So He tells me, this is what you're going to be doing. And I'm like, nope, not doing that. Not going to do that. I have no desire to do that whatsoever. I don't want to be in a leadership role in any way. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm completely content making websites for people and whatnot. I don't want to do that. So I really fought it for many years, many years actually. And then my husband and I were in Italy because I had a client who was doing yoga retreats in Tuscany, and she traded a website for a spot at her yoga retreat. I didn't do any yoga. I love yoga. No problem with yoga, but I just wanted to see Italy. So we stayed in this gorgeous castle. We got great food. It was amazing. It was beautiful. We were all over Italy. We went to Venice. We went to Cinque Terre. We were everywhere, all over the place. It was a wonderful trip. But on that trip, my husband is like, why aren't you doing things like this? And I'm like, yoga retreats? And he's like, no, like having retreats and things like this for women. Like, why aren't you doing this? And this is an unexpected thing for him to say, because he's not, I don't want to say completely unsupportive, because that's not what it is, but he is very risk adverse. And anything new that I bring in and add to my business, he always questions it until it pays off, or I prove, that it was a good idea. So for him to say something like that felt like a nudge from God. Like, why aren't you doing this thing that I told you to be doing? So I came home and I started the process of actually going through, all of the, I didn't revamp my business. I'm still doing branding and web design, but I started adding on a coaching element. I started creating programs for moms and for women. And in that whole time period, I saw this building for the first time it's local here. It's only 20 minutes from where I live, but I had never seen it, even though I've lived here 20 years. It was about 5 years ago that I see this building. And I know immediately when I see it, I'm going to own that building at some point. And I have no idea why or anything other than that that's going to be mine. So again, fast forward to about a year and a few months ago, and I'm finally stepping into this leadership role that God keeps telling me that I'm going to be doing, even though I still don't feel it some days, most days. And I see that this building is for sale. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's now. I'm going to buy it. And I have no money. I don't have the money for that. Like, I don't have a crap ton of money sitting around. It was only $39,000. But it's still, I had no idea how it was going to happen. And I basically just turned all of it, my business, the building and how to get it, what I'm going to be doing with it, I turned it all over to God and said, I can't wait to see how you make this happen, because I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And long story short, we get to December, this past December, the building is about to happen. Things are about to, like, they accepted my offer. All of these crazy things are happening. But then roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Just things kept coming up. Things kept popping up in the way. And old me would have freaked out and tried to manage the situation, fix the situation, just force what I wanted to happen. And instead, God very lovingly took me in his arms and said, just chill. Just let this happen. And it was a really big lesson that I've learned over this past year is that, forcing what I want, like I can make the plan, I can set the goal, but I have to leave the how up to him. And this has been a very hard lesson for me to learn. But every single roadblock that has come up, I have backed off and not panicked and not gotten all worked up about it and not tried to force it to do be what I wanted it to be or go the way that I wanted it to go. I've just totally let up off the gas, started coasting, let him take control, and everything has worked out better than I ever could have planned for it to. It's been an unbelievably amazing journey to let him love me through this and to finally admit that he knew what he was talking about when he told me this thing 6 years ago that I didn't want to do. And now I'm like, it's all consuming for me and all I want to do. So it's interesting the way that we say no. And he's like, well, you're going to do it, so you might as well give in, right? But that's my story is I let God love me through this time and show me the way to get where he wanted me to go, even though it was kind of me kicking and screaming the whole way. So hopefully that helps you in your journey. And this lesson about just letting him take control and not worrying about the how has been really huge for me. So I hope that it helps you too.
My takeaway line from Amanda's story was you can make plans and you can have these visions and do all this really cool stuff and get really excited about things, but you don't need to worry about the how. And that really resonated with me. So I hope it was of encouragement to you too, because we're told in the Bible, there's some obscure Old Testament verse I don't have written down in front of me that talks about write the vision out, make it plain so they can be seen on the run. So we are encouraged to make plans, to dream with God, and to set goals. And I know goals is one of those words that some people get a bit like leery around. If that's you, don't worry about it. It's just semantics. Goals is just a way to say these are the things I'm going to do with God. But it's really easy to get focused on, okay, how am I going to do this stuff? And as Amanda reminded us, you don't need to worry about that. Hand the how over to God, and it really is so freeing and releasing. And so I loved this tangible story, this real tangible example of another really cool thing that God's doing, because he loves you and he wants to do this with you. So thank you so much to Amanda for your story today. It was brilliant. I would encourage you to find Amanda on the internet. Her website is justboldlygo.com, and she has a podcast and a Facebook group and things like that. I shall put the links in the show notes for you, but I really, more than anything, my hope and my prayers this has been encouraging for you. And if you know somebody who would benefit from Amanda's story, please do share this with them, because the more people that we can reach out with these tangible stories of God's love, the better, as far as I'm concerned. That's the whole goal of this project, is for you to see and experience firsthand just how loved by God you are. So with that said, thank you for joining me. I look forward to sharing the next story with you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.